Total assets are 252, 399. Okay. So dividend payout ratio 6140 divided by 16270. So Walmart pays about 38 cents of every dollar they make, at least last year. Our retention ratio, 1 minus that, 6226. ROA for Walmart is net income over total assets. 6.45%. Just as I predicted, it's a much lower number compared to NVIDIA, but that doesn't mean Walmart is not a profitable company. So to calculate IGR, first calculate A, which is ROA times retention. So that's 0.0442. Or 4.19%. Now, the way to interpret internal growth rate is maximum growth achievable using only internal resources. So that means next year, I'm not going to allow you to raise any equity or change anything about your debt. You're going to use only retained earnings to fund your growth. That doesn't mean you're going to grow 4.90%. That is the maximum you can grow, assuming your return on assets pretty much retains the same. Another one we're going to calculate is sustainable SGR, and we're going to calculate that as B. Actually, I'm going to do this D over, no, let's do B. And we define B as ROE times retention ratio. And SGR is max growth achievable provided that equity ratio remains constant. So in addition to keeping your internal resources, I'm going to allow you to borrow more or raise equity, but there is only one proviso. You have to keep your debt equity ratio the same. So you don't change anything about the leverage of the company. So if you raise more equity, that means you're going to have to borrow more. Let's get the total equity for Walmart. 9349 means their ROE is net income over total equity. Where are you? That's 18.01%. As you can see, ROE for Walmart is much higher than compared to ROA. Why is that? Leverage. Okay. In fact, ROE is about 4.5 times ROA. That means equity multiplier is 4.5, or debt equity ratio for Walmart is 3.5. And for retail businesses, that is kind of normal. I mean, you owe your money to your suppliers. You don't pay them that early. We found that. Did we calculate that for Walmart? The payable. Actually, let's look at. You can look at it yourself. And it's to calculate SGR. First, calculate B, ROE times retention. Since we calculate that up there, or so as long as Walmart keeps the same level of leverage, they can grow about 12.6%. Again, that is not a prediction of how much they're going to grow. That is an upper limit on how much they could grow, provided that they don't add leverage to the company. Quick question. If a company pays all of its all of its net income as dividends, is a policy, I made $100 million this year, I'm going to pay $100 million in dividends. I make 200 million, I'm going to pay 200 million dividends. What do you think the sustainable internal growth rate would be? Remember, internal growth rate is the growth rate achievable using only internal resources. But if you're distributing all the income, you're not adding any internal resources. So you can't grow. You have nothing to grow with. That doesn't mean you're not going to grow. You can grow if your things like ROA changes, but we're assuming that ROA is going to remain constant. So if retention ratio equals 0, IGR equals 0, you have nothing to grow with. Okay. Oddly enough, so is SGR. I mean, you can see that mechanically. If retention ratio is 0, B is 0, and sustainable growth rate is 0. But also think of it kind of logically. The key assumption under sustainable growth rate is dividend is going to, that equity ratio is going to stay the same. If I distribute everything, nothing changed in my equity, so I can't do more debt. Okay, so I cannot grow more. Let's stop here for today. Remember, on Wednesday we are going to play Jeopardy. Please come to the class on time, because I plan to start pretty much at 9:10. Once I'm going to send an email in the morning telling you where I want you to sit. In this class, it's simple. Group 1, 2, 3, 4, because I want you to be together. But I'll send an email and tell you where to sit anyway. And since you have only 4 groups, you have no way of saying, oh, let's pick another group. Every day, all of the groups is going to compete for Jeopardy. If you were in a larger class, you would have had that issue. And if you do not come to class on Jeopardy days with no excuse, I'm going to treat it as if you were here and you answered all the questions wrong. Okay? So not only you're going to lose your attendance points, you're going to also lose all those Jeopardy points. So if you can't come, make sure you have a good excuse. All right? I'll see you guys on Wednesday. And we'll finish up chapter 3 on Monday. We'll do price multiples and a good number of problems on it.